And the people must support the PAP. Most of all, they must trust the PAP.
Trust. That's what Mr. Lee wants you to do. Trust the PAP. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the second day of the SDP online rally. My topic this evening, as you can tell, is about trust. And trust is one of those things that is hard to describe, but something we instinctively recognize when we see it, right? Because trust takes more than mere words to establish. It takes deeds. In other words, trust comes not from what you say, but from what you do. And the quickest way to lose trust is when you don't keep your promises. Whether it's a spouse breaking a marriage vow or someone promising to return the money he borrowed but never did, or even something as simple as making an appointment but never bothering to show up. When you break someone's faith in you, trust evaporates. Now, William Shakespeare once said, "Don't trust the person who has broken faith once." Well, tonight I'm going to show you how the PAP has broken faith with you, not just once, but repeatedly. Tonight I will demonstrate to you and give you the irrefutable evidence of how the PAP says one thing before the elections and then does another after elections. And let's start with this.
That's why we work with you to solve problems like cost of living. How can we make life better, not quite burden lighter?
He said this at the last general elections on 8th September 2015. So let's take a look at how he has worked to lighten your burden after the elections, shall we? 1. Water price was increased by 30% by 2018. Have you checked your water bill lately? 2. In 2016, HDB and URA car parks all increased parking rates for hourly and season parking rates by as much as 27%. And 3. In 2018 and 2019, the MRT fares, bus and MRT fares were increased by 12%. 4. ERP rates have also been going up with new gantries added in recent years. 5. PAP town councils increased their service and conservancy charges by as much as $17. These fees were also raised for offices and stalls and markets and food centers. Now count together with me, won't you? We still have a long way to go. Now 6. In 2018, the PAP announced that all Singaporeans will have to pay cash yield premiums starting at the age of 30. 7. And you may have noticed that your electricity bills have been going up. The same for gas tariffs. 9. In 2018, the PAP upped fees between $20 and $30 per month for kindergartens. 10. University fees have also been increasing in recent years by as much as 10%. 11. Polytechnic fees increased by $100 in 2019. ITE students by $20. 13. The government introduced a carbon emissions tax in January 2019. 14. From January 2020, every time you watch a movie online, listen to music, or import other digital services, you have to pay GST. 15. Excise duty on diesel was raised in 2019. 16. The PAP is even proposing a sugar tax in 2020, but I don't think this was implemented because of the pandemic. And finally, Mr. Lee promises to raise the GST to 9% after 2021. Now remember, all these increases were done after the last GE. I've said many times before, don't listen to what he says. Instead, watch what he does, because trust is not what you say, it's what you do. And then he said this.
We've worked hard for the seniors who deserve peace of mind in their golden years, who deserve to live out their years with dignity.
You mean like this? Or this? And what about this? Now, Professor Ng Kok Ho of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, an expert in aging and poverty, said in 2017, the poverty rate for our elderly persons in the workforce has increased dramatically. Channel News Asia reported in 2017 that 23% of our elderly in the workforce is paid $1,000 or less a month. And it said that the number of seniors who work into their silver years is growing too, especially those from the lower income group for whom retirement is an alien concept. Are you surprised then that in 2017 the number of suicides among the elderly was at an all-time high? And here's what the Samaritans of Singapore said. It is very worrying that many elderly are turning to suicide as the only choice to end their pain and struggles. And what peace of mind is Mr. Lee talking about? What dignity is he referring to? Trust is not what you say, Mr. Lee. It's what you do. And what does the PAP promise younger Singaporeans?
For the young generation, we make sure that they have a bright future.
A bright future? We've even come up with a new term, the graduate poor, because according to a PAP MP, there are worrying statistics of seriously underemployed Singaporean graduates. An international survey in 2019 found that when compared to their counterparts around the world, Singapore's millennials are less satisfied with their lives and are largely pessimistic about Singapore's economic outlook. In August 2019, it was reported that MSF said that they were very concerned about the spike in youth suicides. So please, Mr. Lee, what exactly are you talking about when you say that our youth have a bright future? Then there is our birth rate.
We've improved the baby bonus. We've got more maternity leave. We've got paternity leave as well. Confident about their future, willing to say, let's have a kid.
The total fertility rate dropped again to 1.14 in 2018, the lowest in our history, and one of the lowest in the world, if not the lowest.
We've improved CPF.
Yes, for the government. It now retains even more of our hard-earned savings. It started off at $80,000, and now the amount it withholds has reached $181,000 this year. And the household expenditure survey conducted last year showed that the average retiree household gets a payout from CPF of $280 a month. How do you expect anyone, to survive on that amount? Now, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong is not the only one. This habit seems to be baked in the DNA of the PAP. When he was Environment Minister, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan said in August 2015, just a few weeks before the GE, there is no need for an adjustment of the water price at this point. Then just months after the GE, the new Environment Minister, Masagos Zulkifli, announced that water price would be increased by 30%. He lectured that the consumer must face the full price of water. Trust, as I said, is not what you say, it's what you do. Then there is the not so small matter of the value of our HDB flats. For years, the ministers kept telling us that our flats are an appreciating asset, meaning that the price would never go down. In 2010, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong said in no uncertain terms, the HDB flat is not just a shelter, but also a key investment asset. Singaporeans can enjoy an appreciating asset. In 1992, Mr. Goh Chok Tong, who was then Prime Minister, told Singaporeans that it is in your interest to ensure that the value of your flats continue to rise. Mr. Ma Bao Tan said an HDB flat grows in value over time. But then after the 2015 elections, National Development Minister Lawrence Wong finally admitted that HDB prices will not go up. He said, as the leases run down, especially towards the tail end, the flat prices will come down correspondingly. And listen carefully to what Mr. Vasu Menon, the OCBC Bank Vice President, said in 2017. hoping for an HDB flat to rise in price by the time you retire so that you can unlock the value by selling the flat is not a sound strategy. Now, if Mr. Menon knew this, did the PAP, did the ministers not know it? The big, huge question that's screaming to be asked is, if they did know it, then why did Mr. Lee, Mr. Goh Chok Tong, Mr. Mao Bao Tan tell the people that HDB prices would keep going up? When you mislead the people like this, they lose faith in you. And now they're doing it again. During May Day this year, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong assured everyone that we will not be able to save every job, but we will look after every worker. You've got to admit that there's a nice ring to this, a nice jingle. We will not be able to save every job, but we will look after every worker. The question is, are you going to trust the PAP again this time? Are you going to fall for the nice but ultimately empty rhetoric again? Now, just a few weeks before the GE, they formed this thing called the National Jobs Council, a high-level council comprising 17 members, including 8 ministers and representatives from the labor movement and business associations. The purpose? Well, according to the Straits Times, the council will grow jobs and training opportunities on a much greater scale than anything attempted before. For a moment, I thought they were going to perform the highest tightrope walk for the Guinness World Record. I'll let you in on a secret. In 2003, the Economic Review Committee, or the ERC, with 20 members, said we need to reposition ourselves to compete and exploit these new opportunities. In 2011, another high-level committee, this one with 30 members, called the Economic Strategies Committee, proclaimed we must create more opportunities for individuals to progress. More recently, Mr. Heng Swee Keat came up with another group, this comprising 30 members, called the Committee for the Future Economy, or CFE, which also loudly announced that we shall progress by embracing new realities and creating new opportunities. And now in 2020, just before the elections, they create yet another committee to, this time, identify and develop job opportunities. As I described in my first video, all these committees were formed with high-sounding goals, but the result was a decade of decreasing productivity, slow economic growth, and in the last few years, rising unemployment. According to this website, we have about 110,000 people who are unemployed. The figure is probably much higher because it doesn't include those who have given up looking for jobs. And this does not count Singaporeans who are underemployed, like professionals driving taxis and grab cars, or young Singaporeans delivering food because they cannot secure meaningful employment. And now with the COVID pandemic ravaging the economy, do you seriously think that the PAP will create jobs at an unprecedented scale? Now, I'm not saying that this is a bad idea. I'm asking you not to blindly trust the PAP and give 100% of the seats to the party. I'm asking you to vote for an opposition like the SDP so that we can hold the PAP to its promises after the elections. I'm asking you to vote for the SDP because we have the better ideas to create jobs and look after those of you who are retrenched. I'll lay out our ideas in another speech. Now, some of you may ask, why am I going into such detail and providing all these facts, citing reports, dates, and what was actually said and done? Well, the simple reason is that we want to make sense to you, to reason with you, to show you why and how it is important that you don't blindly accept what the PAP tells you. You need to examine their record and ask questions why they did certain things or did not do certain things. And you ask questions in every other thing in your life, don't you? When you buy a computer or make plans for a holiday, you ask questions about the product, the after-sales service, compare prices, and so on. You don't just hear the first words that come out from the salesperson's mouth and make your decision based on that, do you? So why do you do it for the one thing that has a huge impact on your lives and your children's lives? Why do you believe the people who have power over you and determine how you live, how you much retirement savings you have, how much you must pay when you are hospitalized, how and what your children study, all without examining their record and whether they're telling you one thing before you vote, but doing another after. Now, this is precisely the reason why we've taken the trouble to do all this research. We do this because we want to make Singapore a more intelligent, informed, knowledge-based society where our government is accountable to us, listens to our voices, is open and transparent with us, not a people driven by fear and propaganda where our rulers say, jump, and we ask, how high? And we do it because this is the kind of opposition that you have told us time and again that you want to see in Parliament. The kind that does its homework, don't talk rubbish. The kind that is responsible and constructive. The kind that is compassionate, looks out for the people, and makes you feel proud to be a Singaporean. But work like this and putting together a series of policies requires a huge amount of time. And that's why my colleagues and I invest so much effort in doing the research. And that's why I spent the last couple of decades of my life writing my books. Now, people like Grace Fu, the PAP minister, will use this as a way to criticize and put me down. Now, she said, as far as I know, he hasn't held a steady job for many years. The truth is that doing research, thinking about the issues, and writing is more than a full-time job. I earn my living selling my books. It's an honest and decent way to put food on the table. At least I don't demand from taxpayers the money. Doing research and writing has kept me going all these years. It has allowed me the independence to stand upright, never bowing, never going on bended knees before the PAP. I thank the thousands of you who have bought them. If you haven't got a copy yet, please consider purchasing one. You can do it online or go to our office at Ang Mo Kio, or if I see you when I'm at Bukit Batok doing my walkabouts. You know, on Sunday when I was visiting residents there, a young lady came bounding up and wanted to buy a copy. It wasn't until after she left that I learned that she was a well-known online personality. And when I got home, my son told me that he had already gotten a message from his friend that Jade Rasif had bought a copy of my book. Jade, if you're watching this, I want you to know that it is people like you, our youth, our millennials, who give me so much hope. It reminds me of why I got into fighting for democracy in the first place. Your enthusiasm and energy is contagious, and I thank you for it. My eldest daughter, Anne Lin, like Jade, is also a strong and independent woman. She's able to vote for the first time, and I'm so proud of her. I'm sure many of you know that old 1950s evergreen hit by Nat King Cole, "What a Wonderful World." One of the verses says, "I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know." And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Isn't it true, moms and dads? It's wonderful seeing our children grow up and become the persons that they are. And there's much that we can learn from them, right? And so to all the Jades and Anlins out there, I want to tell you never to let that fire in your belly die. The world is before you. You must dream. You must not, in the words of the late Steve Jobs, settle. Grab your future, for it is yours to make. And even as you go about building your world, always remember to love and care for those around you, especially those who need it most. And somehow our society through the decades have become too harsh. Let's not let it get worse. Let's fight it. Let's make it okay to be compassionate and open and giving. For I tell you that nothing is worse than living in a society devoid of humanity, where all we care about is the size of our bank accounts and how we can get ahead regardless of who and what we step on to get there. And so to all the young folks, my fellow candidate Min, the young Democrats, the young candidates in the other parties who've come forward to stand in this election, you inspire me. You help me take another step forward. Now let's go and build a Singapore that we can all truly belong in and be proud of. One that has compassion and one that we all love. We start next Friday, 10th July.
I ask for your trust. Vote for the candidates you trust.
Let me end my speech this evening by leaving you with Mr. Lee Hsien Loong's message, and then remind you of those 10 words that you must not forget as you walk into the voting booth on 10th July. I'll see you again.
Hi.
Hi everybody.
Hey there.
Hello everyone.
Salam sejahtera.
各位大家好。
Good evening, my fellow Singaporeans. My name is Chee Soon Juan, and I am the Secretary General of the Singapore Democratic Party.
I'm Dr. Paul Anantambaya. My name is Benjamin Quinn.
I'm Min Cheong.
My name is Robin Low.
My name is James Gomez.
My name is Wayin.
I am Daman Huri Abbas.
I am Tan Ji Se.
I'm Alfred Tan.
Support me and support the SDP.
Please support us, support SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Support the SDP.
Sokong SDP.
Hingga ke panisaya nan khatir itu.
支持農能，支持民主黨。
Support us to help build a democratic Singapore based on justice and equality.
I invite you, my fellow Singaporeans, to stand up and walk.
So, first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Roosevelt delivered this speech during his inauguration as the 32nd President of the United States on March 4, 1933. I've realized that when it comes to elections, the fear is real. Singaporeans fear politics even when they live in a democratic country. Voters who work in civil service have an unreasonable fear that they will get into trouble when they do not vote for the incumbent party, despite assurances that vote is secret. When I spoke of supporting the SDP, I have many friends and family on Facebook unfriending me as they believe that association will somehow get them into trouble. This snap election during the pandemic does not help to elevate this fear. To the men and women whose lives have been darkened by the fact or the fear of unemployment, I empathize with you. I did not expect our multi-million-dollar, multi-ministry task force to continue to allow visitors to enter the country while other countries have banned visitors. I did not expect the Prime Minister to discourage people from wearing masks despite other countries making it mandatory. And I did not expect the conditions of foreign worker dormitories to be so unhygienic despite being monitored by the Ministry of Manpower. However, I did expect the ex-PAP ministers and grassroots that run these dormitories to avoid all accountability of the situation. It is not easy to find courage to be a candidate. People question my qualifications. I am not a scholar. I'm not an army general. My father is not a politician. I do not have a spouse that heads a department in civil service. I am but a Singaporean with a dream that one day we can have a democratic society based on justice and equality. For me, I found the courage when I overheard my mom's conversation with other seniors in my neighborhood. I see 咩咩事，咪到老公做拖。 When I heard these prayers to have a good death, I was crushed. I started engaging with them and found that they have a perception that Singapore is being too expensive. They do not want to be a burden to their kids and did not believe that the government is doing enough to support them. Some of them have CPF which they cannot access, and most of them do find it hard to make ends meet. I do not understand why a wealthy country with such a high GDP is unable to support seniors that built it. As I get more involved in various communities, I find that many marginalized groups do not have a voice. Motorcycles used to be affordable, but over the years, the COE prices have gone up significantly. Government increased the ARF taxes, which even affects the delivery motorcycles. And the NEA wants to ban older bikes on the road by 2028, even when stringent vehicle inspection takes pollutive vehicles off the streets. Like the PMD saga, poorly planned policies affect the lives of our people. The government provides guidelines and certifications of PMD, but ban them from sidewalks and housing estates, effectively making them useless for delivery services, affecting the users who need them for work daily. I feel that many of Singapore's policies drive up costs and nothing more. Fear paralyzes people from taking the needed actions. I cannot depend on others to act on necessary things. I can no longer stand on the sidelines while I see injustice happening. I cannot allow myself to live in fear, not in this darkest moment when courage is needed to move the country forward. I am thankful that the SDP accepts me for what I can contribute and see me for my potential. I believe that the people that understand many of these problems live in the community. Collectively, we hold the solution because we know the problems better than the multi-million-dollar minister who do not even take public transport. I have a request for you to give me a chance to serve you, and be your voice in Parliament. Vote for me, support the SDP.
Hey, you see me?
Hi, good evening. I'm from the SDP. My name is Jufri Sai.
Oh, hello, madam. Yeah, I'm calling from the SDP. My name is...
Life of a fundraiser is very concord. Life of a SDP fundraiser is even more concord. But with your generosity, we are able to put up a good fight this coming election. You can donate $10, $20, 50 grand also can. You can also support us by buying a copy or 10 copies of our party manifesto at $40 each. This manifesto will let you know more about the party's vision and policy for this coming election. Go to our online store and shop at yoursdp.org/store. Ouch! You can also bring home 1 or 3 of our favorite Danny Bears at $20 each.
Hello, my fellow neighbours of Holland Bukit Timah and Bukit Panjang. The SDP has contested in these constituencies in at least the last 2 elections. We thank you for the encouragement and support you have shown us. We will continue to work hard for you. I have spent many years in this part of Singapore, and I hope I can continue to spend many more to come. In my school days, the boys and I walked through the floodwaters along Bukit Timah and Dunyan roads. We hopped into the A&W outlets near the junction of Dunyan and Kem Hock roads. We grumbled about the crowds of people and vehicles every weekend at the old turf club. We felt at peace when we travelled along the old tall trees along Old Holland Road as it weaved down towards Bukit Timah, turning away from where Pandan Valley is today. We smell the whiffs of sauces when we go by the Yo Yap Sing factory. We saw amazing animals and plants in the Rifle Range forest and also on nearby Bukit Timah Hill. We camped amongst psychedelic rubber plantations and kampongs of the cashew and mandai areas. We heard the crunching gravel of the red sandy grounds of Bukit Panjang's 10 milestone. We experienced the bumps over the railway tracks as we rode on open-windowed buses towards Marsiling. All these were wonderful things we had experienced in the Holland Bukit Timah and Bukit Panjang areas. And of course, all these landmarks and memories of the past have changed and things have moved on. New things have replaced them and lives improved. Although I must say that Bukit Timah Road, after 6th Avenue, still have that irritating sinking ground and potholes by the canal. So it is the same with the larger world. Many things have changed and lives moved forward. The world after COVID will change even more. It will be a different world with new issues searching for new solutions. We cannot cling on live in the past. In fact, the new world after COVID will change so fast that if we keep still, the wave of relentless change will sweep all of us backwards. We need to move forward just to keep up. SDP's manifesto, 4 Yes, 1 No, recognizes the new world after COVID. 4 Yes, 1 No is SDP's response to help our citizens transition and thrive in the new Singapore. SDP calls for the GST to be suspended for the next 1.5 years. Yes, right until the end of next year. We don't see the economy and society recovering to its pre-COVID levels so soon, given its global nature. We need to first stabilize the economy and then to push it to grow. The suspension of the GST will put money back into the people and businesses. This will encourage our people in Singapore to continue to buy and sell, to spend, to consume, keeping economic activities up so that our domestic economy can keep going. Suspending the GST for now will help kickstart the economy, and it is something that is productive. This is also important as putting more money back into the pockets of people will push back deflationary pressures of the economy. Not collecting GST for the time being until the situation has been resolved is like the extension of the package of COVID support and mitigation measures, where the package is funded from a draw on the reserves, especially in light of these extraordinary circumstances. How much reserves we actually have is unfortunately a mystery to law and policy makers. Is the government telling all of you voters in Singapore that they don't trust your elected representatives with a true account of our finances? Can you imagine a company or a society where its shareholders and members are told they cannot be entrusted with its true financial state? What audacity is this? What accountability is this? This certainly shows that the PAP government gives no respect of its citizens. SDP has not been afraid to ask the tough questions. SDP will continue to ask and ask and ask again. Voters of Holland Bukit Timah and Bukit Panjang, I ask you to vote and put my SDP team of Ms. Min Chong, Dr. James Gomez, Mr. Tan Ji Se, Professor Paul Tambaya, and I, Alfred Tan, into Parliament. Let us represent you. Let us speak up for you. Let us bring Singapore forward. Majulah Singapura. Vote SDP for 4 Yes, 1 No.